Okay. Hey.
What?
What happened to you, dude?
What? I'm joining this one, dude.
Who is this guy?
I'm Jules.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Dragon Ball Z. Okay, yeah, we just watched Dragon Ball Super Broly. What a creative title that was. And let's talk about it.
Alright, guys. Dragon Ball Z. Anime, right? Really ripped, shirtless guys fighting, and they don't actually really bleed or get hurt that much.
No, they do.
They get thrown.
They bleed, just not in Dragon Ball Super.
Not anymore.
It takes about 30 planets being destroyed,
30
and
nukes.
Maybe a universe being ripped apart, and
Like
stuff
a
like
little
that.
scratch.
All in all, it's one of the most legendary animes ever, and here is the how many movies have they come out with at this point? Over 20, right? Yeah, easily. And so this is a reboot.
Yes.
From one of the other Broly movies.
Yes. Well, not necessarily a reboot. It's more of the original was non-canon.
Yeah.
And then this one is now considered canon into the actual series. So let's just give our thoughts on it. What did you guys think?
I'll start off. For a guy who's been keeping up with Dragon Ball more than these guys have, I was actually mostly satisfied with how this movie went down. The action scenes were really exciting, and I felt are the most creative and super exaggerated at times. Were kind of the Dragon Ball fights fans generally think of when they think Dragon Ball.
What the fuck was this movie? I don't even fucking know.
Yeah. So our reactions were fairly similar to each
So
we were different from Jules.
He's have kept up with it pretty much throughout the whole series. He's basically where the producers think that everyone who's watching this movie is.
I've skipped a few episodes, just so you know, but they've all just been unimportant.
Yeah, okay, loser. Christian's probably in the middle, and I have not kept up since the Boo saga.
Alright, so my thoughts on it are, I was just very disappointed. I'm a big fan of the original movie because it just kind of had this intensity factor that a lot of other Dragon Ball arcs and movies just didn't have. And Broly as a character, he's just fucking awesome. And sure, he's just a brute, but he's kind of a memorable brute, You're really scared of him. He's one of the rare occasions in the Dragon Ball series where you're scared of the villain. And with this movie, everything's toned down to an extent, and I'll explain. From what it seems like, I've just kind of grown sterile to the series as a whole. And they try to tone it up by I guess now they have Super Saiyan God, they have all these different powers now, and it kind of feels like a tone down in a way because it's just not intense. It's just there's no tension, there's no suspense of what's gonna happen. It's just kind of predictable, and you really aren't scared for anybody in this film. What did you think?
The last movie I saw for Dragon Ball was Resurrection F. And the biggest problem I had for that movie is that they literally destroy all of humanity and Earth, and that's the conflict. And I'm like, oh my god. There's a point that a lot of unsuccessful series get where they just try to expand on the world that they've created instead of trying to think of new ways to reinvent the world to make it more interesting. And unfortunately, Dragon Ball at this point has suffered that. Originally they didn't, where they had a lot of unique villains, but at this point they're just thinking, how can we make Super Saiyan God Sicko Mode more intense? They're just upping what they've already had, which I think at this point really just doesn't work. I feel like the fights are so overblown and so dramatic. And Peter Jackson talks about this, the man, the Hobbit, the legend. He said, I will not succumb to battle fatigue. And that's what this movie had. The battle
Which actually ended up happening with Battle of the Five Armies, but anyways,
that's actually true. This battle that takes place for almost over half of the movie is a fight, and it's so you really get numb, the characters in the movie.
And the fight itself is a little too long for what it offers. It's basically, I guess, spoiler alert, but really, do you care about spoilers for a Dragon Ball movie?
Dragon Ball.
Spoiler alert. Boo.
side note, where the fuck were all the characters in this movie?
Well,
just gone, man.
I want to do a recap. Okay, so Krillin and Android 18 are living off with their kid. Krillin's a cop.
So we don't need a summary of all the characters. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
we're all
Nobody,
fucking
literally
off.
the only other character in this movie is Piccolo. And he shows up for like 20 seconds.
It's
It's Vegeta, Broly, Goku, and Frieza. That's pretty much it.
Basically, what happens is what ends up happening is they just kind of Goku and Vegeta are the only ones that fight Broly this time around. Probably because everyone's irrelevant at this point in the series, other than Beerus and Wiz, but they don't fight anybody. There's really no one else who puts anything on the table anymore.
Even Piccolo's like, I'm not gonna help.
No. Goku and Vegeta are the only ones that can pretty much do anything at this time. And it ends up just being a fight between them and Broly. And it just gets kind of stale at a certain point. What ends up happening is, you get Vegeta, vanilla form. He fights Broly, then he starts powering up, and you kind of get like a little like, ooh, okay,
Yeah.
like Vegeta just has to power up to fight Broly, and this is pretty awesome.
It felt cool. Like for me, it like felt like you're kind of being reintroduced to the super form.
Exactly.
It's probably just the different art style.
Yeah,
though.
and it kind of brought value to powering up nowadays. Like, because nowadays powering up really isn't a fucking big deal. But like when Vegeta powered up, it was like, oh shit, like this is kind of a big deal.
Yo.
And Broly keeps kind of holding his own. But what ends up happening? Flash forward like 45 minutes later, the same shit's fucking happening. Now you got fucking Goku and Vegeta fusing, and they keep powering up. And it's just like dude, what's going on? Broly isn't even a threat. What ends up happening is Vegeta and Goku just spar with Broly is basically what happens.
They're not actually fighting for any reason, except for Frieza wants to see them fight.
Exactly, and Frieza as a character, he's always great, but he was kind of unnecessary in this movie.
Yeah.
I would have to say everybody's pretty much unnecessary in this movie,
Yeah.
and I guess you could say that's a problem with Dragon Ball in general. However, people in the series still kind of offer, they offer some sort of comedic value, or they help out the heroes in some way, right? They have like senzu beans or whatever. They have cool quips in the background. Every character in this film, other than Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, and I guess Frieza in a way, are just pretty much useless. There's two people that help out Broly, but they're kind of, you could just write them out and it really wouldn't make much of a difference. And I don't know, maybe it's because I've just grown sterile to the series, but I just really didn't feel anything watching this movie. One interesting thing that I thought it just kind of reminds me of Man of Steel a lot, especially with the first 30 minutes, which, let's get into that. What did you guys think of that?
That was interesting at first. But the thing is, with exposition, you have to have a payoff, right? So a really large portion of the beginning is just background information. What happened on Planet Vegeta, why they give you like Goku's origin story too, which was so unnecessary. They give you Broly's background, they give you like Vegeta's background. They tell you basically how all the characters ended up in the places they are in this movie, which is helpful in a sense because it helps people who haven't seen the Dragon Ball series.
But it's just weird because, they help out the people who haven't seen it, but then they just kind of flash back to Krillin dying, or they just flash back to Super. So it's weird.
It felt like Rogue One, where they have all the references.
Yeah.
Going back to what you guys said about Krillin, Frieza tries to get Broly to Super Saiyan, and he has like a quick flashback of killing Krillin, which triggered Goku to go Super Saiyan. And he just kills Paragus to trigger Broly into going
Paragus
Super
is
Saiyan.
Broly's son.
And literally everyone in the theater started laughing at that.
Yes.
It was supposed to be dramatic even with the music and everything, but nobody could just help but laugh.
Yeah. What did you think of the first 30 minutes?
First 30 minutes?
And Planet Vegeta.
Yeah, I always thought it was going to be interesting seeing that happen. And it was, for the most part. But then it started to get old by the time, like, Bardock showed up. And and another thing. I don't like how they treated Bardock in this one. I love Bardock. He's a low class but super badass fighter warrior. In this one, he's just some guy who gets suspicious of Frieza and throws Goku into Earth.
Yeah, so in this movie, just catch up. You probably know this by now, but they spend the first 30 minutes on Planet Vegeta, just like they did in Krypton and Man of Steel. And both movies, the concept of spending time on the planet, kind of like a prologue, is cool. It's very cool. I think it just hasn't been done right, but I think it could be done right. But it dragged on for way too long, and it could have just been recapped, honestly. It really wasn't worth the time that we spent on it, and I don't know if they maybe just wanted to fill time in. I don't know.
You know what's a movie that actually pulled this off? I think Full Metal Jacket would be a movie where the background is so long, but it actually pays off because it shows you how the characters ended up where they are.
Yeah.
And this one, they spent so long just telling you how the people got there, but like location-wise. They actually skip over a lot of Broly's development into like the brute he is now.
Totally.
And I felt like that was unsatisfying because you see Broly just become powerful.
It's weird.
They gloss over his training, they gloss over the dad's relationship with him, so when they jump towards it, you kind of really don't care.
And I appreciate what they did. They tried to make Broly kind of more of a character instead of just a mindless brute, which I could totally see. Like I like that, right? I like that they tried that, but they just didn't do it right.
They did okay. I feel like they just didn't do enough.
I just feel like exactly. They didn't spend enough time on the right things.
I feel like this is just material that they're going to expand on, maybe in the anime and manga. Yeah, maybe most likely. Looking at this whole movie as a whole, this feels like kind of like Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, where they like kind of introduce something to just build off more later.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. And just to continue all the Man of Steel comparisons, the final fight is fucking long. Okay, the thing with the Dragon Ball Z show that's pretty what it's famous for is
martial artists.
The fights take just way too long. Right, but that kind of adds to the charm, and it's an episodic series.
We have like
things
50
still
episodes till Namek explodes.
5 minutes. Last episode, Namek has a minute left to explode, and a whole minute is that.
But if you're doing a movie, things kind of change. You know, you got to kind of pick up the pace. It's a film. It's not a fucking episodic show, right? And they just didn't do that either, which is weird because in a lot of these successful movies, either A, they do a long fight and they keep it interesting, or B, they just do kind of a short fight and keep it, quick. They didn't do that. They did a long fight and didn't keep it interesting, which was kind of disappointing, especially for, a character like Broly, who is just fucking powerful and just a brutal. Every fucking hit he does is just a brutal hit, It just kind of became bland. I guess to go into the aesthetics of the film, the animation in some sections was really weird. I did like how they kind of went for like a hand-drawn look at some parts.
Yeah.
But then in other parts they would go into like 3D animation.
And it looked better than in Resurrection F, but it's still
It's
weird.
not really saying much.
It's still weird.
It distracts you like so much, and it's really outdated that they're using that.
Berserk should have been a big red flag, guys.
When they go into 3D, it just kind of looks like we're watching fucking Dragon Ball FighterZ, man. It looks like we're watching a tournament.
Yeah.
Or they're doing...
Is this a cutscene? Does Dragon Ball... Is Fighters getting a season 2 now?
Yeah.
Looking at you, Bandai.
Also, the music...
It got weird at times.
Yeah, okay. I'm a big fan of, like, Dragon Ball Z music because it's just overly badass.
Don't stop weird.
Yeah, it's overly badass or overly cheesy.
Yeah.
And I love it, right? And this film is just fucking weird, man. It's just weird.
It's like the, you guys... Do you guys know the South Park Inception episode where they do the Inception thing, and every time Leonardo DiCaprio talks, there's a guy in the back who goes...
It is possible to enter into someone else's dreams. Send dream trackers to go into a person's subconscious, like a spy seeing their dreams as they see them, perhaps even planting ideas. If one person is regressing deeply enough, the dream can actually envelop those dreaming around the first person I talked about who's dreaming.
Or even go more meta with Deadpool 2, the Oh Shit song.
Oh shit.
yeah, that's a better example.
That's another example, but it was weird because they would place the song in very odd parts. For example, Broly's like powering up and they'd say, "Go Vegeta, go." But it would be weird because they're cheering for Vegeta, but the shot is Broly like
Gogeta.
powering up.
It's Broly versus Gogeta, and you hear Goku and then Vegeta, but
Broly's... It's just weird.
Why do they have vocals
The
in
music
the first
choices
place?
are just terrible. It's not badass at all, which is very disappointing, especially for like a Dragon Ball movie.
I feel like I would have enjoyed it if there just wasn't vocals. I feel like it would have been fine. Just you don't need the soft vocals in the background.
Even without the vocals, I feel like the vocals were the best part of it.
Dude, yeah, at least it was funny that way.
Without it just would have been generic. At the end of the fight with Broly, he finally goes green.
For like 3 minutes.
And not even, man. That thing lasts like a minute. He goes green for like a minute, and the fight ends. And it's super disappointing because the fight ends, not because like one of them gets defeated or anything. It's very unsatisfying. The way the fight ends is from a Shenron wish.
Yeah, and
man.
this annoying like Broly girlfriend character makes it.
Who will die
Yeah.
if they have sex?
I mean, the good thing they didn't spend any time on this, but Broly has a little like thing with this girl, right? Because he's like protective over her. She kind of thinks he's hot and stuff.
Yeah.
But she wishes that
Yeah.
Broly gets saved because Gogeta is about to like
Literally about to annihilate.
yeah, annihilate his fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And then the girl's like, I wish Broly was saved and he would go back to the planet he grew up on.
Keep in mind, the planet he grew up on was the planet of where he just was tortured his entire childhood and was deserted and had absolutely no food. Right?
It's called-
So the girlfriend that cares about him is sending him back to that planet to suffer even more.
No. It's not a planet. It's a planetoid.
Whatever, man.
Okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
So
The dick is shrinking by the minute.
It's like
It's just
Goku
stupid.
and Vegeta I didn't feel like they won.
There's nothing satisfying about the ending because they set up this fight for the entire film, and there's really no result.
Here's
It
the
really
thing,
just
though.
doesn't. Nothing happens.
Here's the thing, though. You'd expect a guy like Gogeta, like the two main characters coming together, the two main heroes coming together, like doing a Fusion Reborn and beating the villain. But here's the thing. Broly's not really a villain. Or the villain.
Yeah, in a way, which I do like how they kind of made his character a little conflicted. But again, they didn't really focus on it too much, and it just didn't come off with the way they intended. You could totally tell. I don't know. I mean, I'm shitting on this movie a lot, but I was entertained still.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
The fight
It's-
was awesome.
it's certainly-
I had fun watching the fight.
Sure, at some points the fight was cool, and the animation was pretty great at most times, aside from the
Especially-
3D.
Especially Gogeta, like, kind of towards the end, where Broly's just
Getting his
throwing
ass
energy,
kicked.
and he's just like... Well, okay, when, like, Broly does, like, the huge beam thing, and Gogeta just, like, slides through it, like, that was, like, the coolest shit I saw from that fight.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, I love that.
I mean, this movie has a lot of flaws. However, it was entertaining, and that's what I went for this movie for. I wasn't really looking for a fucking Oscar bait film or anything like that, you know. And they knew that, you know. The
Yeah.
people who made this movie knew that.
I feel like the
Um,
flaws are just kind of relate to, like, all the flaws in Dragon Ball that
Pretty
still
much.
haunted
I
today
do feel
since
like
the Buu saga.
I do feel like it's not as charismatic as Dragon Ball Z, and maybe that's just nostalgia speaking.
Maybe it's just
but-
because there's no blood anymore.
I think there's I think it's the lack of, you know,
I really don't feel anything from this film.
lack
And-
of emotion, lack of heart, lack of
And
passion.
in the original, you know, in the original Dragon Ball, you feel comedy, and Dragon Ball Z, you felt badass, like fucking, like let's do this shit. And Dragon Ball Super, I consider the series a little mediocre. Please don't kill me.
The people and like the Dragon Ball community has their ups and downs with all the episodes.
Yeah, and with this film, I kind of just felt like just bland, which I was very disappointed by because Broly is probably movie-wise my favorite villain from the films. Of course, Cell will always be my favorite villain overall, but
But is Broly even a villain anymore?
yes, is Broly a villain? Well, the movie finishes off with
Goku
kind of Goku
and-
befriending Broly, which
It's
it
fine.
could go in a cool direction.
They're gonna expand on this.
yes.
And they're gonna do another tournament of power with Broly this
which
time.
would be pretty cool.
Oh god, they're gonna
But,
fight
I don't know.
Kefla.
Overall, I would just give it. I mean, it's a 5. It's super passable. It's okay.
Yes,
it has a
it's-
lot of flaws, but I mean, I'm not gonna cut my dick off. for
Yeah,
it.
it's
this-
certainly not a stain in the Dragon Ball series.
For me, like I thought it was fine. I don't know. I feel like 5 out of 10 is fair. And to be honest, like with what Dragon Ball is going, its flaws like they don't hurt me as much just because I'm used to them at this point.
Sure.
Because for me, like this movie was the most meta Dragon Ball story where it's hyper masculine, muscular martial artist fighting, yelling, exaggerated explosions, breaking to another dimension. So Krillin and Android lasers
yeah,
at each other, and like this is exactly what this movie was for me.
Yeah, and if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you're gonna fucking watch this anyways. You know,
You're
what's
gonna
this
love-
review to you?
Everyone loves it actually.
Yes, but I gotta say, let me just boil it down to this: the original Broly movie, I would probably recommend to a non-Dragon Ball fan. You know, someone who's just looking for a fun action movie, I'd probably recommend it to them. This movie, I wouldn't recommend to a non-Dragon Ball fan. I'm gonna have to agree with both of you guys. 5 out of 10 for me. A little disappointed.
So you know, go Kamehameha your asshole.
Oh wait. Guys, we just want to make a quick announcement. We are not an anime channel.
Oh,
we are not an
yeah,
anime
yeah.
channel. We are not Chris Tucker.
Like,
We're not an anime channel.
We're not Chris Tucker.
No, we are not an anime channel. It just happened to be 2 anime reviews in a row. We're gonna fucking review Glass next.
Glass is.
Oh yeah,
Probably
Glass.
tomorrow. I'm gonna see that.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Please, we are not an anime channel. with that said, go do your fucking Dragon Ball Z scream. It was a pleasure. Subscribe. Thank you for watching.